Hello, everyone. My name is William Smith. I am the author of Oil Rich, A Brief History of Guyana and Why the U.S. and China Have Interests. So, today I'm going to talk about One Guyana and how Guyana started off as One Guyana. And when I talk about how Guyana started off, I'm talking about the modern Guyana. And with that being said, if you look at the history of the PPP, which is the People Progressive Party, that started on January 1st, 1950. And it actually started with Cheddi Jagan, his wife, and Forrest Burnham. And the unique thing about this is they started this party to basically revolt against the British colonial rule. And this party gained a lot of steam after there were 5 sugarcane workers that got killed by the colonial police in one of the sugarcane factories. And so, looking at the concept of One Guyana, if you look at the history of the PPP, it was founded off of One Guyana. So you had a Afro-Guyanese and an Indo-Guyanese working together. So that was Cheddi Jagan and Forbes Burnham. Both of them worked together. They both were in the same party at one point in time before the split. And if you look at the history and you read about the reason behind the split, some might say there was some coercion to create the split from the British. And with that being said, if you think about books like Confession of an Economic Hitman from John Perkins, he kind of talks about this playbook to divide some of these developing countries. And so these are things to, once again, consider when we're looking at One Guyana, because Guyana was united at one point before you had the 2 political parties, because you had Forrest Burnham and Cheddi Jagan working together to oppose some of the sanctions and the things that were putting down by colonial rule. And it's interesting because when Cheddi Jagan was being labeled as a Marxist and a communist from the U.S. and the British is when they split. And that's when you saw the beginning of the PNC. And so just really looking at the concept of One Guyana and why this is important for the future of Guyana, to really be able to bring back the citizens together and really try to remove any type of racial divide due to this resources that are coming into this country. Because it's for the future of this country, everyone needs to benefit equally. There needs to be equity when this comes to the oil and the benefits coming in. So I think Dr. Ali, who is the president of Guyana, he has an opportunity to probably go down as one of the greatest presidents in the country's history if he could pull off the One Guyana and bring it back. Because that's how it started. If you look at the PPP, it started off as One Guyana. And right now, with this oil discovery, there's going to be a lot of people coming in with their own interests. And their own interests could divide the country racially if we're not aware of these tactics. And so it's important. I encourage you all to read the book Confessions of an Economic Hitman from John Perkins, and even YouTube some of the videos, and it will provide insight into the playbook, because Guyana has a strong history of cultures working alongside each other and cultures being together. And when you think about the different religions that's in Guyana, the different cultural traditions and how things are brought together, that's a testament of what Guyana can be and how there can be one Guyana. I mean, I think about the day of fasting where all the religions get together and they're all fasting around the same time. I mean, examples of that shows and demonstrates that there is potential for one Guyana. So I think President Ali is a great leader. It's amazing watching the things that he's doing when he's having these interviews and how he represents Guyana. But I also understand the interests that others have and how that can divide the country. So it's so important, and I really want to highlight that. And just some questions to think about. What can be done to strengthen this one Guyana notion, this one Guyana concept? If you read my book, Oil Rich, I talk about the political structure and the political parties in chapter 3. And then in chapter 5, I dedicate that chapter to Cheddi Jagan. And then in chapter 6, I dedicate that chapter to Forbes Burnham, just to give you an understanding of who these individuals are, some of their insights. So important as we look at the framework of Guyana and where it is today, because both of these individuals shaped this country, and both of these individuals came from the same cloth when you look at how they started off together. You know, Cheddi Jagan being the founder of the Political Affairs Committee and Forbes Burnham being the chairman of British Guyana's Labour Party, and then to be able to combine those two and work together to create the People's Progressive Party. This shows you that Guyana was united against colonial rule. And when you look at a resource like oil, you can see how individuals that have interests create potential conflicts to divide so they can come in and benefit from those resources. So once again, I just like to create topics to provide insight, to inform, educate, create discussions, because at the end of the day, it's about the future of Guyana, the future generations, and how can we, as individuals that have interests with the benefit with Guyana and benefiting this next generation, how can we create dialogue, discussions, and then eventually implement these things so Guyana's future can be great for this next generation. So I encourage you to go to Amazon.com, get a copy of Oil Rich, or you could even go to BarnesandNoble.com and get a copy of Oil Rich. There's a Guyana artist by the name of Tony Cuts. He even talks about One Guyana in his song, and I think the lyrics are definitely at a time right now where it makes so much sense to bring the country together, because there will be a lot of people coming in for this resource. So with that being said, I hope everyone has a great day, and signing off. Have a good one. Bye.